The first major problem with having a gossiper around is the way they damage trust. Trust is the foundation of any healthy relationship, whether it's with friends, family, or acquaintances. A gossiper doesn't respect this sacred bond. Instead of keeping things private, they enjoy talking about people's personal lives, spreading information they have no business sharing. Whether it's an offhand comment about someone's personal struggles or private matters, the gossiper can't resist discussing things that should stay confidential. This behavior creates an environment where people feel they have to be cautious about what they say, worrying that their words might be twisted and shared with others behind their backs. A gossiper may also foster a sense of division between people in your home or social circle. By spreading rumors, half-truths, or completely fabricated stories, they can turn friends and family members against each other. In a family or close-knit group of friends, this behavior can lead to misunderstandings, broken relationships, and long-standing tension that would never have existed had it not been for the gossiper's interference. They may tell one person that another said something unflattering about them, even if it's untrue, simply to create drama. The result is a web of mistrust and conflict that can destroy the harmony of your home. Even when gossip is not malicious, it's still disruptive. People often gossip out of insecurity or a desire to be included in a conversation, but this behavior can still undermine the emotional stability of your home. Conversations that could be lighthearted or constructive are instead filled with negativity and judgment. Instead of bonding over shared experiences or enjoying a peaceful meal together, conversations can quickly turn to judgmental chatter about others who aren't present. A gossiper will encourage this kind of talk, finding ways to involve others in sharing opinions about people who have no part in the discussion. This can be emotionally draining for anyone who values privacy or dislikes unnecessary drama. A gossiper's tendency to talk behind people's backs also reflects a lack of emotional maturity. They may say things like, "I'm just being honest," but the truth is that honesty without empathy is simply cruelty. A gossiper will often speak about someone's flaws or mistakes without considering the impact their words might have on that person's reputation or emotional state. In some cases, the gossip may be entirely baseless, fueled by the gossiper's personal biases or need for attention rather than any genuine concern or truth. This type of behavior can destroy relationships, leaving people feeling betrayed and hurt by someone they once trusted. Another issue with gossipers is that they tend to invite judgment into your home. They will often focus on criticizing others or pointing out flaws, creating an atmosphere of negativity that can weigh heavily on those who are around. When someone is constantly making judgmental comments or dissecting the personal lives of others, it can quickly set a toxic tone for your entire household. Over time, this can lead to people feeling like they have to be careful about their own behavior, worried that they too will become the subject of gossip. It can also create an environment where people become hyper-aware of how they are being perceived, causing unnecessary stress and anxiety. Furthermore, the presence of a gossiper can make it difficult to maintain any sense of authenticity in your home. People may feel they can't be themselves around a gossiper, especially when they know that anything personal they share might be twisted or repeated in a way that feels uncomfortable or untrue. When you can't speak freely without fearing that your words will be taken out of context or shared without consent, it can stifle meaningful conversations and deepen feelings of isolation. The gossiper's influence can extend beyond individual conversations and affect the overall dynamic of your home. Instead of feeling like a place of safety and openness, your home can start to feel like a breeding ground for rumors and manipulation. Guests may avoid coming over, family members may retreat into silence, and the overall mood may become clouded by suspicion and uncertainty. No one wants to feel like they have to watch their back in their own space. And when a gossiper is allowed to thrive in your home, that's often the result. It's important to remember that gossip has a corrosive effect on relationships, and those who indulge in it can't be trusted to foster healthy, open, and honest interactions. The damage caused by a gossiper is not only emotional but can also be long-lasting. To protect the peace of your home and the integrity of your relationships, it's essential to set clear boundaries with gossipers and remove them from situations where their negative influence could do harm. In the end, a gossiper's presence in your home is a liability, one that can take far more than it gives. The energy vampire is a type of person who can quietly drain the life out of any situation or environment, and their presence in your home can have a profoundly negative impact on your emotional and mental well-being. These individuals have a unique ability to absorb the positive energy from those around them, leaving everyone else feeling exhausted, emotionally depleted, and even resentful. Whether they are family members, friends, or acquaintances, energy vampires always seem to take more than they give, and their presence often feels like a weight around your neck that you can't shake off. The most noticeable feature of an energy vampire is their ability to drain the emotional energy of everyone they interact with. They don't necessarily have to be overtly negative or hostile often. They are simply incredibly demanding of your time, attention, and emotional resources. They may share endless complaints about their lives, their relationships, or their jobs and expect you to listen, empathize, and offer advice or support. While it's natural for people to vent and seek support from time to time, the energy vampire does this in a way that never seems to end. They monopolize your time, leaving you with little opportunity to focus on your own needs or recharge. What's worse, despite all the energy you give them, they rarely offer anything in return. An energy vampire can sometimes disguise themselves as someone who is just going through a tough time, and it's easy to feel sympathy for them at first. However, over time it becomes clear that their emotional needs are insatiable. No matter how much support you offer, they always seem to need more. You might spend hours listening to their problems or offering advice only for them to continue to come back with the same issues, never making any real progress toward improvement. This pattern can be draining, as it leaves you feeling as though you are constantly giving without ever receiving anything in return. The emotional exhaustion becomes more pronounced, and you may begin to feel like you're stuck in a one-sided relationship that's not only draining but also unfulfilling. One of the most harmful aspects of an energy vampire's presence is the way they make everything revolve around themselves. These individuals often dominate conversations, constantly talking about their problems, their struggles, and their needs, without considering the emotional state or well-being of those around them. They don't ask how others are doing, and if they do, it's often a cursory question that quickly turns back to their own issues. They rarely take the time to listen or be present for others, and as a result, the people around them begin to feel invisible or unimportant. This lack of mutual respect and consideration can erode relationships over time, leaving everyone involved feeling more isolated and disconnected. The presence of an energy vampire in your home can also disrupt the overall atmosphere of the space. Homes are meant to be places of refuge where you can relax, recharge, and feel supported by the people you care about. When an energy vampire enters the picture, the atmosphere of the home changes. Instead of feeling light, comfortable, and peaceful, the home becomes heavy, tense, and emotionally taxing. Their constant need for attention and validation can make everyone else feel as though they're walking on eggshells, worried about saying the wrong thing or offering the wrong kind of support. Conversations can feel stilted and uncomfortable, and any attempt to bring positivity or levity into the room can be met with resistance or disinterest. The overall mood can shift from one of warmth and connection to one of frustration and exhaustion. Beyond the emotional toll, energy vampires can also affect your mental health. Constantly being in a position where you feel obligated to care for someone else's emotional needs without receiving any support in return can lead to feelings of resentment and burnout. Over time, you may begin to feel trapped, as though your own needs are constantly being sidelined. This can have a negative impact on your self-esteem and sense of personal fulfillment. You might start to question whether your needs are valid or if you are simply being selfish for wanting to prioritize your own well-being. Another aspect of an energy vampire is their tendency to take little responsibility for their own actions. They may often place blame on others for their problems, making excuses for their behavior, and refusing to acknowledge their own role in their struggles. This lack of self-awareness only adds to the emotional burden, as it can feel as though you're carrying the weight of their issues without them making any attempt to change or improve. The inability to take responsibility or make progress can make interactions with them feel stagnant and frustrating, leaving you feeling like you're stuck in an emotional cycle with no clear way out. The impact of an energy vampire is not just on you, it can affect everyone in the household or social group. When one person constantly takes and never gives, the collective energy of the group becomes imbalanced. Others may begin to avoid spending time around the energy vampire, or they might start to distance themselves emotionally. This creates a sense of isolation and disconnection as the energy vampire's behavior begins to push people away. Eventually, this can lead to the breakdown of relationships, as people tire of constantly being drained and unappreciated. The key to protecting yourself from the emotional drain of an energy vampire is to set clear boundaries. It's important to recognize that while it's natural to want to help people who are struggling, there comes a point where it's necessary to prioritize your own well-being. Being constantly available to an energy vampire without taking time for self-care will only lead to burnout. By establishing healthy boundaries and learning to say no when necessary, you can protect your emotional energy and maintain a sense of balance in your relationships. The energy vampire may never change, but you have the power to control how much of your own energy you allow them to take. The manipulator is a dangerous and often subtle presence in any relationship, especially when they find their way into your home. Unlike more overtly toxic individuals, manipulators are skilled at operating under the radar, making it difficult for others to recognize their true intentions. Their ability to manipulate others stems from their deep understanding of human emotions and behavior, which they use to control, deceive, and exploit those around them for their personal gain. Manipulation is rarely about what's directly said or done. It's about creating a psychological dynamic that leaves the other person feeling confused, guilty, or uncertain. Over time, this can cause significant emotional damage, especially if the manipulator is allowed to thrive in your space. A manipulator's tactics are often subtle, operating in ways that can leave you feeling uncertain about your own thoughts and feelings. One of the most common manipulation techniques is gaslighting. This occurs when the manipulator twists your reality, making you question your perception of events or your memory. They may deny things they've said or done, even if you know for a fact they're untrue, causing you to doubt your own sanity. For example, if you confront them about something they did that upset you, they might turn the conversation around, making you feel as though you're overreacting or imagining things. This form of manipulation can be incredibly damaging because it erodes your self-confidence and sense of reality, making it easier for the manipulator to gain control. Another common tactic used by manipulators is guilt tripping. They are experts at playing on your emotions, making you feel responsible for their happiness, problems, or well-being. They may subtly imply that if you don't comply with their wishes, you're being selfish or uncaring. The manipulator might say things like, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me?" Or, "If you really cared about me, you'd help me with this." Over time, these guilt trips can wear you down, leaving you feeling constantly obligated to cater to their needs, even when it's not in your best interest. The manipulator relies on your empathy and kindness to exploit you, slowly making you feel like you're the one in the wrong if you don't comply with their demands. The constant complainer is one of the most disruptive and draining types of people you can encounter, especially when they find their way into your home. These individuals have a tendency to focus exclusively on what's wrong in their lives or the world around them, and they bring that negativity into every space they occupy. Whether it's the weather, their job, their relationships, or even the food you serve, nothing seems to be able to lift their spirits. While it's natural for people to have moments of frustration, the constant complainer can make an art out of dwelling on problems without ever attempting to find a solution. What makes this particularly damaging when it comes to your home is that the environment you cultivate there should be one of peace, comfort, and rest. Homes are meant to be sanctuaries, spaces where we can recharge and escape the stresses of the outside world. Inviting a constant complainer into that space can feel like introducing a storm into a calm, serene setting. Instead of finding solace in your home, you may find yourself feeling drained, stressed, and anxious after spending time with this individual. A person who constantly complains is not just someone who voices dissatisfaction occasionally, but rather someone who persistently amplifies the negative aspects of life. Their negativity can sometimes feel contagious, as it seeps into conversations, interactions, and even your own thoughts. You might begin to catch yourself dwelling on small annoyances that, under normal circumstances, you would simply brush off. It's as if the complainer's mindset starts to take over the energy of the room, turning what could have been a light-hearted gathering into an uncomfortable experience. Moreover, the constant complainer is rarely interested in finding solutions to their problems. Instead of discussing ways to improve their situation, they simply repeat the same complaints over and over, expecting sympathy but offering nothing in return. This behavior can be especially taxing because while you may be offering your time and emotional energy to listen, the complainer rarely reciprocates. This one-sided dynamic can create an unbalanced relationship where you feel obligated to listen, but they never take responsibility for their own happiness or well-being. Another issue with the constant complainer is that they often fail to recognize the good things in life. There's a tendency for these individuals to overlook the positive aspects of situations because their minds are hyper-focused on what's wrong. For example, even if the dinner you prepared is delicious, they'll likely find something to criticize, whether it's the seasoning, the presentation, or the choice of ingredients. They may fail to see the effort you've put into hosting, instead only pointing out minor flaws. This constant criticism can erode your confidence and make you question your own ability to do things right. The effect of a constant complainer doesn't stop with the person themselves, it ripples out to everyone around them. Other guests or family members may start to feel uncomfortable or resentful. They may even start avoiding visits altogether because they don't want to deal with the negativity. Over time, the complainer may unintentionally create a toxic environment where people stop wanting to gather together, fearing the emotional weight they will have to carry. Furthermore, there's a risk that the constant complainer may inadvertently drag others into their negative spiral. Sometimes, when you're around someone who is perpetually dissatisfied, you may begin to internalize their complaints, starting to see the world through their critical lens. This is particularly harmful if you're someone who tends to be more positive or optimistic by nature. The complainer's negative energy can undermine your own peace and leave you questioning whether everything in your life is as good as you thought it was. The bottom line is that allowing a constant complainer into your home not only disrupts the peace of the space but also has the potential to damage your emotional and mental well-being. In relationships, it's essential to have balance, respect, and mutual support. If someone's presence continually brings negativity without offering any effort toward growth or improvement, it may be time to reconsider their place in your life. Protecting your home and your mental space is important, and sometimes that means keeping away those who can't help but focus on the negative aspects of life. A disrespectful guest is one of the most disruptive forces you can invite into your home, and their behavior can have a lasting impact on both your personal space and your emotional well-being. Respect is the foundation of any healthy relationship, and when it is violated in your home, it creates an environment of tension and discomfort. The issue with a disrespectful guest is that they undermine the values you hold dear, whether it's by ignoring your boundaries, treating your possessions carelessly, or making your family feel uncomfortable. These types of guests tend to disregard the unspoken rules that govern basic social etiquette and personal boundaries, leaving you to manage the fallout of their behavior. One of the most immediate forms of disrespect shown by such a guest is their blatant disregard for your boundaries. Every home has its rules, whether they're about personal space, how to behave during meals, or what's acceptable to say in front of others. A respectful guest understands these boundaries and adjusts their behavior accordingly. On the other hand, a disrespectful guest might invade your privacy or overstay their welcome, or refuse to follow simple house rules. They might make themselves at home in a way that feels intrusive, using your space without consideration for your comfort or your family's routines. For example, some guests may insist on doing things their way without asking, like changing the television channel to something they prefer or rummaging through your kitchen without permission. Even small things like leaving their personal belongings all over your home can feel disrespectful when done repeatedly. These actions convey a lack of awareness of your needs and a complete disregard for the effort you've made to create an inviting environment. Equally troubling is the way a disrespectful guest may treat your possessions. Your home is an extension of yourself, filled with personal belongings that hold sentimental value or are simply part of the aesthetic you've worked hard to establish. A guest who mishandles or carelessly damages your things shows a lack of appreciation for the effort you've put into maintaining your space. Whether it's spilling a drink on your carpet, breaking a vase, or being careless with your furniture, these actions can leave you feeling violated and upset. Worse still, a disrespectful guest may not even acknowledge the damage they've caused or offer an apology, leaving you to pick up the pieces without any sense of accountability on their part. The emotional impact of having a disrespectful guest in your home can also be significant. When someone disregards your hospitality, it can make you feel unappreciated and taken for granted. Instead of fostering an atmosphere of warmth and comfort, their behavior introduces stress and frustration into the environment. It can be especially damaging when the disrespect involves other members of your household, such as when a guest disrespects your children, spouse, or other loved ones. When a guest belittles, criticizes, or treats your family poorly, it can make everyone in the household feel uncomfortable or unsafe, and in extreme cases, can even lead to resentment or long-term relational damage. Another form of disrespect comes in the way a guest communicates with you and others in your home. A disrespectful guest may interrupt conversations, talk over people, or dominate discussions in an inconsiderate manner. They might make snide remarks or jokes at the expense of others, creating an atmosphere of tension or unease. Even casual comments can be hurtful if they are made with disregard for the feelings of others. For example, belittling a family member's achievements or commenting negatively on how you run your household can cause unnecessary strain on relationships and damage your reputation as a host. A guest should contribute positively to the conversations and interactions in your home, but a disrespectful one will always find ways to derail them. Perhaps the most troubling aspect of having a disrespectful guest is the way they make you feel obligated to cater to them, despite their lack of appreciation for your hospitality. And you might find yourself bending over backward to make them comfortable, offering them food and drinks, or trying to entertain them. However, despite your efforts, they never acknowledge your generosity or reciprocate in any meaningful way. Their lack of gratitude can leave you feeling drained and unappreciated, ultimately making you question why you continue to allow them into your space. The key to a peaceful home is mutual respect. A disrespectful guest introduces chaos into that delicate balance, causing discomfort and tension that can linger long after they've left. It is essential to recognize when a guest's behavior is crossing the line from acceptable to disruptive, and it's just as important to set boundaries and enforce them. Whether it's asking them to be more considerate of your possessions, insisting on respectful behavior toward your family, or even asking them to leave, protecting your home and the peace within it should always be a priority. In the end, the home is a place for those who respect the space, the people, and the time they are given, and if a guest cannot show that respect, it may be time to reconsider inviting them back. The gossiper is one of the most toxic types of people you can have in your life, and their presence in your home can be highly disruptive and damaging. Gossips thrive on rumors and secrets, and they often spread unverified information to manipulate situations or gain attention. When a gossiper is allowed into your space, they introduce negativity, division, and distrust, which can unravel relationships and erode the sense of security in your home. The key issue with a gossiper is that they breed a culture of secrecy and distrust, making it difficult for people to feel safe or authentic in their interactions. In addition to guilt-tripping, manipulators often use charm and flattery to get what they want. They may initially present themselves as kind, loving, and generous, using their charm to win your trust and affection. They know exactly what to say to make you feel special, valued, and appreciated. But the moment they've gained your trust, they begin to subtly impose their own desires and needs upon you while downplaying or disregarding your own. This manipulation through charm can be incredibly insidious because it often feels like a genuine connection at first, making it harder to recognize when things begin to shift into manipulation. As the manipulator continues to gain your trust, they may start making subtle demands on your time, energy, and resources, all while disguising their true intentions behind layers of compliments and praise. The manipulator's ultimate goal is control, but they achieve this control in ways that leave the other person feeling confused, unsure, and trapped. They may use tactics like playing the victim, creating unnecessary drama, or stirring up conflict between you and others. For example, if they feel they're losing control, they might fabricate a story that pits you against someone else, causing friction in your relationships. They want you to feel like you're the only one they can rely on, creating a sense of dependency that makes it harder for you to recognize the manipulation. Over time, this can cause you to feel isolated, as if you're the only person who understands or supports the manipulator, which makes it even harder to break free from their influence. One of the most damaging aspects of being in a relationship with a manipulator is that you begin to feel like you're walking on eggshells. The manipulator's mood and behavior often determine the tone of the relationship, and you may find yourself constantly adjusting your actions or words to avoid triggering their anger, disappointment, or guilt. This emotional roller coaster can be exhausting, as you never know when the manipulator will use one of their tactics to make you feel bad about yourself or question your own actions. The longer this goes on, the more you lose your sense of self, becoming more attuned to their needs than your own. Additionally, manipulators rarely take responsibility for their actions. When things go wrong, they deflect blame onto others, leaving you to pick up the pieces. If you ever confront them about their behavior, they'll quickly turn the situation around, making it seem like you're the one at fault. They might accuse you of overreacting, being too sensitive, or misunderstanding their intentions. This constant deflection makes it difficult for you to have honest conversations with them, as they never take ownership of their mistakes. This lack of accountability ensures that the manipulator remains in control, as they can continue to operate without any fear of consequences. The emotional toll of being manipulated is profound. Over time, you may start to feel exhausted, anxious, and unsure of yourself. Your relationships may suffer because you're constantly giving in to the manipulator's demands, leaving little room for your own needs or desires. The manipulator's presence in your life can create a toxic dynamic that wears you down emotionally, mentally, and even physically. If you don't recognize the manipulation early on and set boundaries, it can be incredibly difficult to break free from the cycle. Recognizing manipulation is the first step in protecting yourself from its damaging effects. Setting clear boundaries, trusting your own instincts, and refusing to be guilted or controlled are essential for maintaining your emotional health. If the manipulator refuses to respect your boundaries or continues to use manipulation to control you, it may be necessary to distance yourself from them entirely. Your home is a sanctuary, and it's essential to protect your peace from individuals who seek to undermine it for their own gain. Understanding why it matters to be mindful of the people you allow into your home is crucial for maintaining emotional well-being, personal safety, and healthy relationships. Your home is not just a physical space, it's a sanctuary where you should feel safe, comfortable, and at peace. The individuals you invite into this space play a significant role in shaping the environment and atmosphere. When the wrong people enter your home, whether intentionally or unintentionally, it can have a profound and lasting impact on your mental and emotional state, your relationships with others, and even your overall quality of life. The people who enter your home have a direct influence on the energy that fills your space. If you allow individuals who bring negativity, drama, or emotional chaos into your home, they will inevitably affect the mood and tone of your environment. This can lead to feelings of stress, discomfort, or even fear. On the other hand, inviting positive, supportive, and respectful people into your home fosters an atmosphere of warmth, trust, and harmony. The energy in your home is contagious, and you want to cultivate an environment where everyone feels comfortable and valued. When this balance is disrupted by individuals who drain your emotional resources, spread negativity, or treat others poorly, it becomes harder to relax, recharge, and enjoy your own space. Your home should be a safe haven, a place where you can truly be yourself without fear of judgment or manipulation. Inviting the wrong individuals into this space can lead to feelings of vulnerability and insecurity. People who exhibit manipulative behaviors, disrespect, or lack of consideration for your boundaries can erode this sense of safety. It can be especially damaging when these individuals are able to manipulate, deceive, or guilt-trip you into accepting their behavior, leaving you questioning your own judgment and actions. You may feel compelled to tolerate behavior that makes you uncomfortable, simply because you don't want to cause conflict or hurt feelings. This can create a toxic environment where your personal boundaries are disregarded and your emotional well-being is compromised. Another reason why it matters is the impact it has on your relationships with others. The people you allow into your home are often in close proximity to your family members, friends, or loved ones. Their behavior can have a ripple effect on your relationships with these individuals. A manipulative or disrespectful guest may cause tension between family members, creating conflict and division where there once was unity. Even if you don't directly experience the negative effects of a guest's behavior, the people you care about may feel uncomfortable or unsafe, and this can lead to misunderstandings, arguments, or emotional strain. The presence of toxic individuals can tear down the sense of trust and camaraderie that exists within your household, affecting the way everyone interacts with each other. The individuals you welcome into your home contribute to shaping the culture of your personal life. When you invite someone into your home, you're allowing them to witness the way you live, interact with others, and even the values you hold dear. It's important to recognize that certain individuals may challenge or even undermine these values, leaving you second-guessing your beliefs or behavior. For example, a guest who constantly gossips or disrespects others may subtly encourage the same behaviors in you, creating an unhealthy dynamic where gossip, dishonesty, or disrespect becomes normalized. Over time, this can shift your own behaviors and the way you interact with people, making it harder to maintain the boundaries and values you once held dear. On a deeper level, allowing the wrong people into your home can cause emotional and mental fatigue. Certain individuals like the manipulator, the energy vampire, or the gossiper require a level of emotional labor that drains your mental resources. Engaging with people who don't contribute positively to your life can lead to burnout, anxiety, and a constant state of emotional exhaustion. You might find yourself having to deal with their emotional issues or picking up the pieces after they've left a trail of damage behind them. This leaves you with less energy to focus on your own needs, hobbies, and relationships that matter most. Over time, this emotional depletion can affect your overall happiness and well-being, making it harder to enjoy life or feel fulfilled in your own space. Lastly, it matters because your home is a reflection of who you are. The people you allow to enter and stay in your home influence the way others perceive you. If you consistently invite toxic, manipulative, or disrespectful individuals into your life, it can create a reputation or impression that you tolerate these behaviors. Others may start to question your judgment or even wonder if you're accepting certain behaviors because you're incapable of standing up for yourself or setting boundaries. This can erode the trust and respect others have for you, and it may also impact the relationships you value most. You deserve to have a home that reflects the values you uphold, and this requires being intentional about who you welcome into your space. In conclusion, the people you allow into your home matter because they have a direct impact on your emotional well-being, the quality of your relationships, and the environment you cultivate. By being selective about who enters your space, you create a sanctuary that fosters peace, trust, and happiness. Your home is meant to be a place of refuge, and it's essential to protect it from individuals who may harm your mental health, disrupt your relationships, or compromise your values. Understanding why it matters to be mindful of who you invite into your home empowers you to make decisions that prioritize your happiness, safety, and well-being.